prepare the report in a manner that is appropriate for publication. They say so categorically and explicitly. What is more, the panel, traveling completely outside their mandate, makes the recommendation to the Secretary General that their report should be submitted to the Human Rights Council in Geneva. That is not their business at all. Their business is simply to advise the Secretary General. It is for the Secretary General to decide what he proposes to do with the report. It is certainly not a part of the function of the panel to decide what should be done with their own report. In any case, it would be grossly improper and wholly indefensible for this document, such as it is, to be submitted to the Human Rights Council for consideration, because it is not an official UN document. It has no nexus of any kind with any legitimate UN organ, be it the Security Council or the General Assembly. It is therefore entirely inconsistent with the applicable law and practice for any part of this report to be taken up for consideration before the Human Rights Council, and that would constitute a very unsound and indeed dangerous precedent, which should be of concern not only to Sri Lanka, but to the international community in general. So that was the role of the armed forces at that time. It was characterized by empathy, by compassion, and by a desire to give freedom to a segment of the people of Sri Lanka who had been deprived of the rudiments of that freedom for so long a period. But, as Major General Milinda Pires said, that unhappy era is now gone. It's gone forever. But the Vice-Chancellor of the Kotalawala Defence University very rightly pointed out that the challenges are not over. There's no room for complacency. It would be wholly unrealistic to make the assumption that all challenges are behind us. Today, the truth of what is happening is that groups that are close to the forces of terror know full well that what has occurred in this country, culminating in the events of May 2009, are indeed irreversible. They are irreversible. What is now happening is that these forces are transferring their initiatives from the arena of battle to the field of international action. This is a segment of the diaspora that is determined to prevent the government of Sri Lanka from moving rapidly to bring prosperity and stability, in particular to the people of the North, to distract the government from its efforts, to keep us continually and consistently embroiled in countermeasures to deal with problems that they are contriving to create on a daily and a weekly basis. That is the pith and substance of the economic onslaught. It is no longer a military onslaught, it is the pith and substance of the economic onslaught which these forces are now engaging in against the people of this land. However, there is no need to be on the defensive at all. There is much that is positive from which we can justifiably derive strength and confidence. As at the end of the first quarter of this year, the economy of Sri Lanka is growing by 7.9%. That's almost 8%. Our foreign reserves are at the unprecedented level of almost $8 billion US. Inflation is controlled at approximately 6%. We have been able to bring down the poverty threshold from 12% to 8% during the period of President Mahinda Rajapaksa's administration. The unemployment rate in Sri Lanka is just 5%, when it is 40% in Greece, 20% in Spain, and 10% in some Western countries. Now just consider the magnitude of the achievements during the last few months. Before the end of the year, the process of resettlement will be completed. 2.5 years ago, we were dealing with 297,000 people who had been displaced. Today, the figure is less than 10,000. And as I say, before the end of the year, all of them will be resettled. No camp will exist. 95% of schools in the northern province are now functioning. Hospitals, clinics, medical services are freely available. 90% of the lands in that area are now cultivated. There are no restrictions whatsoever on fisheries, and it is now a thriving industry. The waters of the north are replete with fisheries resources, and the fishermen in that part of the country are now able to engage in their livelihood without any form of impediment or constraint. What is more, all of this has been done not on an ad hoc basis, but in a systematic, structured way. We have begun at the grassroots level. Consider the extent of availability of microcredit to the people of the north. Figures are available. I propose to present them to the diplomatic community next week. The quantum of money which has been lent by banks in the northern province, the extent to which those resources have resulted in the generation of employment, the resuscitation of the economy of the north, and the percolation of those benefits to the grassroots level. This has been reinforced and supplemented by a variety of mega projects, the principal purpose of which has been to enhance connectivity in that part of the island. With the assistance principally of the government of China, major railroad systems have been constructed in that part of the country. The government of India has played a major role in assisting us with regard to the development and the reconstruction of highways, roads in the north. The government of India, UN Habitat, the Asian Development Bank have assisted us with the construction of houses. All of this is happening under the aegis of a carefully formulated program which is being rapidly implemented, and the dividends which that program is yielding are quite evident in the northern province of Sri Lanka for all to see, in an environment in which we have been able successfully to reactivate the electoral process. There's a great deal of talk of militarization of the north. We were told that the elections were going to be a sham because the army was going to prevent the elections from being free and fair. The outcome speaks for itself. It needs no embellishment or embroidery. The outcome is that parties which are not with the government won many of those elections. That in itself totally refutes the whole fog of mendacity that was being built up systematically in order to prejudice international opinion without any basis whatsoever against the intentions of the government of Sri Lanka.